So is consciousness always present? To suggest such a thing to most Westerners is absurd. They would say, no, what about sleep? And outside of dreaming, consciousness is definitely off. And maybe you've been under an anesthetic and you say, well, consciousness was definitely off. And maybe even zoned out, in a flow state where thinking has ceased and you're just pure consciousness. But because we confuse consciousness and thinking so much, because thinking is off, thinking may conclude that consciousness was also off. And the mistake here is very similar to imagining for a moment that you're on Earth. And so here you are from one perspective of the universe. And so I'm just north of Pittsburgh and it's cloudy all the time. So I may look outside and say, well, the sun disappears for large amounts of time. And then suddenly the sun is out and here it has reappeared. And so consider the clouds are thinking and the sun is consciousness. All it would take is to get on a jet, fly above the clouds, and you'd experience for yourself that consciousness is always present. See, to give your mind some kind of argument would be to require it to have faith. I'd have to convince your mind that maybe consciousness is always present. Or you could learn to distinguish consciousness from thinking, recognize those moments where thought has ceased for a while, and recognize consciousness. Instead of identifying with thought, you identify with consciousness. And it's not really identifying, it's just kind of removing the clouds of illusion and seeing the truth, the reality. And I want to end with a quote from the Surgadata that really puts this in a nice perspective. The search for reality is the most dangerous of all undertakings, for it destroys the world in which you live. Which is to say that the reality question, what is real, requires you to go beyond the thinking mind, the illusion of the abstract world. And once you've destroyed the abstract world, or at least turned it down so you only use it when it's useful, it will be absolutely obvious that the sun has always been shining.